Drag Race might be just as popular as it has ever been right now. The queens from the show are getting mainstream recognition and being featured in lots of mainstream projects. It's one of the very few shows on cable that aren't losing viewers every single season. Since its debut on VH1, its audience has stayed extremely consistent, which is shocking looking at the median amount of viewers on most other cable shows, which drop every year due to less and less people watching cable and sticking only to the streaming services, which I was shocked to learn that. And learning is just what today's video sponsor Skillshare is here to help you do. Skillshare is an online learning community with over 1,000 online courses and members across 150 countries. And Skillshare is perfect for anybody who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity while gaining new skills. If there is a specific skill that you are trying to pick up, whether it be video editing or painting, Skillshare is the perfect place to get started on your new journey. I actually took a course on bullet journaling, which is very specific, but Skillshare had one. And now my bullet journal looks better than it literally ever has before. And I'm just super, super happy. Skillshare is ad-free. It has new courses coming in every single week. You can go to Skillshare to get 1 month free. And that is for the first 1,000 people. And again, thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Drag Race has a streaming service pumping out content like mad. It has a deal with Paramount Plus and is heavily featured all over that service. It is consistently one of the most tweeted about and discussed shows on social media. Nothing about the show on paper would make it seem like it's starting to lose interest with fans. But just by going on Reddit or Twitter or whatever social media you frequent while a season is airing, you'll start to notice a trend of people, which are mostly casuals, starting to get a little sick of Drag Race. Drag Race is a lot like Survivor or Big Brother. It has its core fan base that is going to stick with it through thick and thin, through the best and the worst of the seasons. All of these shows have had consistent ratings over long periods of time, but every show has its casual fans, and it seems like a lot of the casuals are starting to find issues with watching Drag Race every year. From the riggory to the tedious challenges to the massive influx of drag queens you have to keep track of over the years, there are plenty of reasons why a casual viewer might turn sour on Drag Race. So in today's video, I want to take a look at what I think are some of the biggest issues with the show right now, and maybe offer some solutions on how to fix them just to make the show more fruitful going forward. And let me be clear, I do think we are in a golden period of Drag Race right now. Season 12, All-Star 6, and All-Star 7, and honestly Season 14 as well, were all top-tier seasons. But I think it's still worth taking a look at what issues are there and see how the show can do better. Because 15 years into a show, it is almost impossible to keep the exact same model without things starting to feel a little stale. First aspect of the show I want to look at is the challenges. After 14 seasons, there are a lot of challenges that fans expect to see on the show every single year. The makeover, the rusical, snatch game, the ball, the design challenge, the acting challenge, the improv challenge, a girl group challenge, the roomix. I mean, I just basically listed an entire season worth of episodes. And looking at every season since its shift to VH1, there are very few instances where these mainstay challenges are not featured. And while it's nice having those iconic challenges that you always look forward to, I think we've come to the point where every season it's a little bit predetermined from the jump. Queens like Gigi Good can come in with a plan for every single main challenge and basically have the whole season planned out before they even step into the workroom. Now, they can change like an aspect of the challenges. The improv challenge might look like a Bossy Rossi situation, or it could be a world's worst, but the queens know coming in they have to be good at improv. They know they have to be able to write a verse. They might already have their verses written coming into the season. They might have a vast array of jokes they could use in a roast or a stand-up challenge. And while the Rusical will always have a different theme, the girl groups might have a different era of music that they feature, the general wealth of skills the queens need to know is pretty clear. That's why I loved some of the challenges on All Star 7, like the TikTok dance challenge or the draguation speeches. They added a new element that the queens can't necessarily prepare for. Sure, the TikTok challenge is basically the commercial challenge, just spruced up a bit, but challenges that reflect the constantly evolving mediums that the queens can utilize for their career, they just make sense to include on this show. Make a viral video, make a TikTok, make a YouTube tutorial or a talk show or a web series. All of the tools that these queens can use in the real world should be tested on the show, and the challenges they are given should reflect this. Or even shake up the challenges we already know even more. A great example is on UK3, where for the ball, they had a limited amount of time to prepare their looks and get ready. So they had like a stopwatch, and they're like, you got 45 minutes, go. It made a challenge that we've seen play out time and time again feel fresh and exciting and new, and it added new challenges for the queens to overcome within that challenge. I really hope that they do something like this again. I think the challenge department needs to listen to fans a little bit more. I mean, we have said we've hated the acting challenges for like years and years and years, and they almost never work. Either hire a new team to write the script or have the queens do it themselves. That makes the challenge harder. It adds a new element to make the challenge feel fresh, and it tests a new skill in the queens that we don't get to see them use very often, which is like scripting their own media. Shaking up the challenges that we come to expect, I think, could really add a fresh new feel to the series. And that doesn't mean take all of them out entirely. I mean, Snatch Game is a mainstay for a reason. The Rusical and the Ball, they're classics. But for like the acting, the improv, the commercial, maybe do one of them a season and cycle them. Or for the roommates and the girl group, pick one or the other. Things like this, I think, can really push the series into like a brand new era where we're not just going in knowing exactly what challenges we're going to get week to week to week. And for a casual viewer, I think it would make the show a little bit more exciting. Another big update to the series I would love to see is what kind of drag artists they are casting. We've taken a big stride in the last, I want to say, like maybe 2 years. We've gotten more trans representation. We got straight representation. Wider forms of drag are being showcased by queens like Crystal Method and Willow Pill. But I want it taken even further. More cis women, more trans artists, drag kings, drag monsters. I mean, you look at a show like Dragula, where there are so many different perspectives going on in the room that it makes for a very interesting take on the challenge, where you're not just going to get the same thing 5 times. You're going to get very drastically different takes on what you put in front of the artist. And I just think that is where the show should be heading a little bit quicker than it is right now. The queens used to get way more Instagram followers than they do now. I mean, last season especially, the queens are way far behind in followers than previous seasons. And it's not because the show is losing viewers. We know that's not the case. It's not because the queens suck now. We know that's not the case. It's, I think, because to casual viewers, how many like white, blonde, skinny covers of Vogue drag queens do they need to follow? By casting a wider variety of drag artists, casual fans will be exposed to different forms of drag, and we all know how representation matters. So by having a wider variety of talent, it will inherently shake up the seasons as well. As for the rigging, this is interesting. It's, what most of my channel is based off of, and I don't think it will ever stop. And I don't think I would want it to. It does make for a more dynamic season, as we've seen time and time again. But I do think there are ways for production to be less obvious about it. Hide it a little better. And a lot of the outcry about how the queens are treated unfairly, how the show doesn't even matter since everything is predetermined, that will kind of go away. The chocolate twist, I really think that could have been a jump the shark moment for the show if it was something that they were going to keep moving forward, but that doesn't sound like that is the case now that season 15 has finished recording. I understand why shows like Drag Race and Survivor and Big Brother, Amazing Race, they feel like they have to add in new twists every season to kind of shake things up, keep things interesting. But 9 times out of 10, the twists are hated by fans or they don't pay off in any good way. It's a complete waste of time. People have been begging for Survivor and Big Brother to do like a back to basic season without all of the crazy twists that they have year after year after year now. And they don't listen, you know? And we're not there yet with Drag Race, where the show is kind of completely different, or there's just so many things that they're trying to integrate and push on the seasons that it just feels overloaded with stuff. We're not there yet, but I could see us heading in that direction, especially when the chocolate twist came out. I was like, ooh, I don't know. I do think producers listened about how people felt about the chocolate twist in particular, and I think that's a good sign that we're not going to go like off the rails. These are changes I think that would help the show, but I also think they've been making changes already that have been helping. And the biggest of all is the new finale format. We've seen the lip sync for the crown a lot now. We literally just saw it in All Stars 7. We've seen it on regular seasons, All Stars, International, and I really think it only fully worked twice on seasons 9 and 11. They have been trying to capture the same magic they had in season 9's finale, and I truly think that was just lightning in a bottle because nothing has reached that level of excitement and fun as season 9's finale did. The new format that they chose for season 14 is one I hope stays for a long time because it is so much closer to what the queens do on a daily basis while on tour. Putting together a number and really just being able to craft something that is true to them and to their drag, which is a lot harder to do when you have to just like dance along to whatever top 40 number production throws at them. Idealistically, this show should be an extended commercial kind of for the artists. And this finale format is the true selling point of why you would want to go see them in person. Pay money to go see them on tour or to book them at your local bar to get the meet and greet. I think this works a little bit better. I really liked it. We still got kind of a lip sync for the crown moment with the final 2 after the performances. I think it was the best of both worlds, and I hope they keep it moving forward. I also think they've been trying to shake up one of the most important aspects of the entire show, which is the lip sync for your life. I think the variety of kinds of songs they've been using for lip syncs, it's been refreshing lately. For the first 12 seasons, we mostly got like high tempo pop numbers, some disco hits of the 70s, and like a few ballads thrown in for good measure. But now we're getting some really outside of the box choices for lip sync songs, and I am living for it. The Lollapalooza on season 14 had rock songs, R&B jams, 60s songs. All-Star 7, we had Old MacDonald Had a Farm. We had Rumor Has It by Adele. We had a spoken word lip sync. Things that people aren't expecting when they're like, okay, so what's the lip sync going to be this week? I really like that we're getting songs that aren't like huge hits or singles from artists. Like we got Better in Color by Lizzo. I think this is a great way to spice up the lip sync songs. There have been like over 200 of them at this point, and if we come to expect that whichever queen is going to do a death drop or a split is going to win it, it can start to get old. By picking out-of-the-box songs that require more unique ways of performing, it'll keep such a key aspect of the show new and exciting and keep it from getting stale. I also think the way the show has been edited has changed a lot recently. After the battlefield that was season 11, I think the editors realized just how much one-dimensional edits can harm a queen outside of the show. The fandom has always had a problem with the toxic fans that go after the queens they don't like, but that season was especially nasty online. More recently, I don't think we've had a true villain edit since Raja O'Hara. and Silky Nutmeg Ganache, queens who were, maybe antagonistic at times, like Candy Muse and Diabetti, get fully rounded story arcs that show who they are outside of, the eye rolling and the shady comments. Thinking back to season 5, where Rolaska Talks were so clearly the villains and Jinx Monsoon was so clearly the hero, we don't see things like that as much anymore. Instead, we get to look at situations from different perspectives, get more of a bird's eye view of what is going on. I think about Trinity K. Bonet on All-Star 6. If this was an older season, she 1000% would have been edited as the villain of that season, and the fans would have tore her to shreds. Instead, we got to understand why she felt the feelings that she was feeling, why she reacted to things the way that she did. She got such a dynamic and interesting edit, and it's honestly one of my favorite story arcs of all time. I applaud the producers and the editors for giving us that narrative, because I think it's easier to give a queen the classic villain edit. I think it's easy to just look at a queen as a one-dimensional character on a television show and say, this is what you're going to get. It's harder to add in all the nuance and show the queen for who they really are. The good moments, the bad moments. And I think the fan response to that is why we see queens like Diabetti and Jasmine Kennedy on season 14 getting mellower edits than they might have gotten on prior seasons. Overall, I think Drag Race is doing exceptionally well for a franchise that's been going on for 15 years. We're getting all the spin-offs. We're getting all of the Secret Celebrity, and every country is getting their own iteration, which is great for the queer artists from across the world to all now have a platform where they can show off their drag and their life stories and share themselves with the world. I think it is so fantastic, and I hope every single country gets their own franchise by, the end of the year. But just because Drag Race is doing well doesn't mean there isn't room for improvement. I really hope that Drag Race continues to change and evolve with the times, and if the newer changes in the show are any indication, I do think it will continue to do so, even if it might be a little bit more behind than we would all like it to be. But I want to know, what do you think is something that Drag Race could update or change or make a little bit better than it currently is right now? I am really just interested in seeing what fans want from the show. Now that it's such an established brand, we all know and love it. What can we change to make it even better, to make it even more inclusive and enjoyable to watch? I want to hear all your ideas below. Let's discuss. If you are not already, please subscribe to the channel. We are so close to 50K, just a couple thousand away. I'm very, very excited for that, and I appreciate all of you who are subscribed. I announced my merch is now live in the last video, so go get a piece of merch. It's really, really cute, designed by one of my best friends in the whole world, so I'm very, very excited about it. And again, I just want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. The link is in the description below. You get a 1-month free trial if you use the link, and that is for the first 1,000 people. And as always, thank you to my wonderful patrons. If you want to check out my Patreon, there is about to be a new tier that is coming out on September 1st with some exclusive merch, with some fun stuff. So go check that out. And all of the links to my social media are in the description below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching today, and I will catch you all in the next one.